Well, first of all, we're going to start the webinar off properly now. It's all on record for the people that can't make this particular session. So don't panic too much if you do have to go, but I'd rather you didn't, obviously, because I'd like to be here. This is totally live. I'm not like a pre-recorded anything. I am just here. So if I fumble, if I mess up, that's because I am but human, and we will carry on. As far as questions go, I'm quite happy to take any questions. But I might well sort of wait until a decent stop in the actual presentation and then answer them after each subject, basically, I expect. So feel free to put them in there by all means, or you can save them for the Q&A right at the end if you'd rather. It's totally up to you. Okay, right, so firstly, thank you so much for being here this evening. I appreciate the fact that you supported me on this product and that you've come into this VIP training. It means an awful lot. It is my first proper product, if you like, and so to have the faith of you lot to come in on board is very, very humbling, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And also, obviously, thank you for actually turning up this evening. It's been sent out to all the VIP members. We got a fair old chunk of you, actually. I'm quite impressed that people have come along and they're going to join in, and I hope you get something from this. I've also tried to include people that have given me questions inside this webinar. So if you did ask a question or sent me it personally, then it will hopefully have been covered in here. Like I say, Q&A is at the end though, so if you need to go over some other stuff, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so that's the thank yous out of the way. I'm going to do a little about me because you do know a bit about me from the course, but I'm going to keep this very short. Don't worry, it's not 20 minutes of me just babbling on about myself before I actually do anything, so don't worry about that. Sorry about that, just muted slightly. So a little bit about me and what I do and who I am now, and the reason why I actually think I've got something to say about this celebrity effect thing. From a business point of view, I'm actually a full-time... Cheers, Hill just put me off my stride. He said it's fine, we can begin. He's here now. Right. I'm a full-time internet marketer from the UK, and this is basically what I do for a living. Amongst other things, I've been all sorts of things, but for over a decade I've done various bits of marketing online. Now this started off as actually promoting things for my own band, so it's like web design and things like that, and just promotions. Like, it's MySpace at the time, that's how old the band is, but it was MySpace, and we used to promote things on there and get things going. And I kind of learnt stuff through that to save ourselves money, basically. So I've been doing this for quite a while. It's now my full-time profession, apart from the band when we go away on tour and stuff. But as far as putting it on a passport and things like that, I tend to be an internet marketer more than a band person now, purely because we go on tour a couple of times a year, but I do this pretty much every day. So, real life rock star. I genuinely am someone who goes out. In fact, I played a show on Saturday at a local street festival, and I play shows most weekends, and I go on tour, like I say, at least once a year for a good 10-day stint on a proper tour bus and going around to all the different venues. So it's very, very cool. It's something I've been doing for over 20 years now. It's actually our 20th live gig anniversary this year, so it's something I've been doing for a long, long time. During that time, as you'll know from the course, I'm assuming most of you have gone through parts of the course. If you haven't, then obviously go back and do that, because there's lots of stuff in there as well as what we're going to cover here. But in that time, I've been lucky enough to have or be involved with the band that's had #1 videos on things like Kerrang TV, and I've had a top 40 UK hit with a single, released various albums, lots of very, very cool things, basically. Met a lot of very cool people, and just learnt a lot about the perception of celebrity. As it says here, I've been featured on TV, in magazines. We've even had sort of centre spreads on us. We've even had competitions where people can get to meet us. How cool is that? It's all a little weird, even when you're involved in it. It's very strange, but it does give you the perception, or that it gives you the standpoint from the fact that you can see that actually you're just an ordinary guy, you just happen to be portrayed in the media in that way, which is what gave me the idea for this whole thing, if I'm honest. It's because at the end of the day, we are just normal people in a band having fun with it, and it's anyone can be there. So that's where the whole sort of celebrity method, the celebrity perception and effect came from. I'm also a family man. I've been married for 20 years this year, and I've got 4 children, and the age range is quite broad. We've got a 22-year-old, a 16-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So it's all very good. It's something I enjoy doing. It's something that keeps me very grounded, and I love family as much as I love internet marketing and music, so it all fits very well. And lastly, just to show a little bit of my other personality, I'm a comic book nerd, so I collect a lot of artwork and figurines, much to the dismay of my wife. It fills up most of our spare rooms. So I'm a bit of a comic book nerd as well. So I'm a little bit of a geek, but I'm also a rock star on the other side. So it's all good. It's all good. So what are we actually covering today? I told you that would be mercifully brief. Hopefully that was brief enough for you. What we're actually going to cover today on this is obviously an advanced training on the celebrity effects side of things. I cover quite a bit in the actual green screen course, but I knew that there would be things I wanted to elaborate on, and I knew you'd have questions as well. So what I've tried to do is cover the things that I've heard the most, and then covered some things I wanted to cover anyway. And then I've taken the questions on board that people have asked either in the Facebook group or they've asked personally through support tickets or things like that. Or I've been talking to a few people via email as well. It's been nice to get to know you, actually. Very nice. So we're going to cover how to be the person in your market. Now, we did do some of this in the course, but this is just elaborating that a little bit more about the persona type effect that I cover in the actual course. We're also going to cover the fact that some people have asked me, they're like, I'm not what I consider a usual celebrity type, so how do I address that? How do I get over that issue? And I'm going to take one example that I was given and just run with that so you can see how it's not a problem at all. It's actually, you can always twist it around to be on the positive. Then we're going to look at how we can make others look like the celebrity. I know some people bought this course without wanting to get on camera at all. The whole point is that they actually want to be able to get others on camera and turn this into a service. So we're going to look how we can use the course to actually make others look that way. And also elaborate on that, of course, because it's not just about, hey, here's the course you've already learned, this is how we're going to use it. I want to make this some extra training. That's the whole reason why you're here, and that's what I'm going to give you. We're also going to look at quite a specific one, but I've actually bumped into this 3 times since the course was released, which is only a few weeks ago. Seems a lot longer, but it's only a few weeks ago. And I've actually bumped into this 3 different times now. And that's using videos for pledge campaigns. Now, I'll go into this more when we get there, but basically a pledge campaign is when you want someone to give some money up front to fund something. They sometimes call it crowdfunding as well, or crowdsourcing. So we'll go into that. And then other methods, not just the video stuff, to create celebrity. Because it's not just about video as much as it's a wonderful, wonderful medium. There are other ways to create that persona online and offline. So we'll go over that as well. And then we will do a Q&A at the end. So if I haven't covered anything in there, or if there's something you want to elaborate on, like I say, pop your questions in the box. I will be able to see them. Let me know if you ever have any issues, by the way, as well. If you know, sound goes or anything like that, then make sure you pop that in there, because I won't know. I'll just be rambling along and not knowing what was happening. So let me know. But the Q&A is there. We can cover everything at the end there if it's not been covered already, or we can elaborate on the points that we've already gone through. Okay. Well, I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee. There we go, and then we can get on. So can everyone still hear me? If you can give me a quick hell's yeah or something in the chat box, that would be great. Thank you very much. Looks like we're all good to go. Okay. Right, the first one we're going to cover then is how to be the person in your market. Now, you'll have noticed that I like to use examples. I use experiences from my own life for this sort of thing, and this is no different. I don't really believe in just regurgitating what other people have done. Obviously, it's going to cross over. You know, things are always good. There's nothing brand new in this stuff, but I like to give it my own sort of twist to it, my own thinking, my own personal experiences on things. And it's the same with this. Now, what I mean by being the person in your market, what I mean by being the person in your market is someone that everyone looks up to and thinks is the authority, that you fit. You're the person that they go, hey, if I was thinking of a certain person in this market, that is who I would be thinking about. Now, everyone has a version of celebrity. And I mentioned this in the course. It's like my particular pick was I like Tony Stark, I like Frank Kern. I think that to me that's my version of it. If I could choose one thing to be, then that would be my, hey, that's a person who's made it. Now everyone has this, and the fact is that if you want to be the person in your market, you kind of need to match this. So we're going to take it one step further to what I said in the course about just being this sort of Tony Stark character, and actually break down a few different functions. Now, the reason I'm doing this one is because people were asking me for that next step in this in this focus. So I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to use my lovely wife. Now, my wife does Avon Cosmetics. I think it's around the world. I'm not too sure, to be honest, but it's basically selling makeup online. You can do it online now, and you also do it in person. She also does UK extreme couponing. I make the point that it's UK because it's not quite the same as the USA, but it is. She is very good at it, and she's found ways to twist it and make it a very good. It saves us a lot of money basically. But she also has an alternative e-commerce store. Now, by this I mean obviously sort of thing you would go and buy online rather than go somewhere else with. And the reason I mention these is because she manages to do all three of these, and I want people to understand that by being a celebrity or the go-to person in a market doesn't have to restrict you forever to that one place or that one persona. Now obviously you don't want a conflict, and I go on about that in the course, where it's like you need to be true to yourself and you're sort of an amplified version of yourself. But if you've got these different facets of your personality, then that's fine as well. Like I say, with my wife, she does these three fairly different things. So the way she does this is by modeling her ideal customer. Now you will have heard this before. In fact, it's the usual use for the term an avatar. When someone says to make an avatar, what they usually mean is their customer avatar. I twisted that in my thing, and the avatar is when I create it for myself, and that's what I'm talking about here as well. So we're going to model our ideal customer and kind of make that ourselves, amplify that part of ourselves for these different areas. So here's the examples. With Avon Cosmetics, obviously it's to do with makeup, it's to do with being good, it's to do with looking good. So there has to be like a glamorous persona. Now when I say glamorous, that doesn't mean you have to wear a tiara and a long flowing dress every time you do it. But it does mean that the clothing is important. You can't sort of roll up onto the video or get photos done or whatever wearing a big baggy jumper with holes in it. You have to be clever about what you're wearing. It's the same with anything you do. Obviously I'm talking about Avon Cosmetics here, but this can address anyone's market anywhere. It's just an example. So you need to be careful with the clothing. You also, with this particular one, it's obviously going to be good to look good. Now, if you walk into a big superstore or some sort of cosmetics place in a town or a high street, you'll find that the people that greet you tend to be, if anything, a little bit too orange. But the fact is, they're using the stuff that they're actually selling. Now, the point is that they're showing that they use it, they believe in it. So it's the same with this particular persona on this. And the terminology is very, very important. Now I'm talking to you about videos and things like that, and I'm using certain terminologies to do with editing and the different celebrity effects. It's exactly the same with anything to do with this particular go-to person. You have to use the correct terminology. Now part of it is because you should know your stuff anyway, because that is you in that market. The other part is people will relate to it, even if it's jargon and stuff like that that other places don't use. You'll find that you actually fit in better because you're using it. Now I used to sell, to take that away from this slightly just for a second, I used to sell a lot of World of Warcraft stuff, and you learnt that they used a whole different language, and if you didn't use that language to sell to them, then you wouldn't sell a thing because they could sniff a mile off that you didn't really know what you were talking about. So that's what I mean by terminology. Also with this particular one, she uses references to family and friends a lot, as Avon Cosmetics involves a lot of word of mouth, as do a lot of home-based businesses. Now the reason I included this as well is because people have talked to me about I sell Forever Living, or I sell some form of door-to-door type, I do parties for people. How can I become the go-to person for that particular thing? And it's the same with anything that uses any sort of kits or any sort of sales like the Avon Cosmetics does. It's good to reference to family and friends all the time while you're using all your different online presence, which I'll go into more in a little while. And because it does involve word of mouth, so you want to show people that that is what you do all the time. And also she does video tutorials. Obviously I'm going to come back round to video because that's kind of the point of this training. She does video tutorials on how to do the makeup, and it's just like the people that you walk into the store and see trying to sell it you in the superstore. She does it, she shows it works, she shows she actually uses the thing. Now I've got a friend, I mentioned Forever Living, and I have a friend who does that as well, and they do the same sort of thing. They show themselves doing detox cleanses and things like this, and they use video in such a way to put themselves in front of people all the time. Now what this means is people see them more and more, and they get to know them as the person. Oh, it's that person that does the detox cleanses, or it's that person that does those makeup tutorials. So it's a great way to get that celebrity effect out there, and this is a great way to turn it around into a money-making thing as well, if you were to take on something like one of these home-based businesses. The next one is Extreme Couponer. Now I'll go through this one a little bit quicker because it's the same kind of idea, but it shows you how differently it can be used. Now with this They're the thrifty type. They're trying to save money. And again, they need to know the lingo. I don't know if you know extreme couponing at all, but it's basically saving lots and lots of money when you go into stores. And a lot of the lingo is they use different terminology for different superstores. So that if Tesco's, which is a superstore over here or somewhere like that, was to go searching online, they can't actually find the fact that people are sharing these codes and things. So they sort of call them things like Tosco and things like this. And it's all very, very kind of their own little language. And because she knows this language, she can relate to people. People see she's the real deal. Now, when it comes to this sort of thing, which is very much online, finding codes and that, and it's probably the same in a lot of different other markets as well, it's very important to hang around on the right forums and sites. Now, this is celebrity effect again. So it's without hanging out on these sites and showing her name and calling herself UK couponing and stuff like this. This is building that credibility, that celebrity all the time. So now what happens is when people bump into her on different sites, they actually remember her from the other ones. Now, as you can see, that's creating that celebrity. It's all to do with celebrity effect. And what she does with this particular thing with video is she films her best savings. She films the things and she shows, this is what I've done today, and this is what, this is what I do over here, and this is what I managed to save, and this is what I should have paid, and this is what I did pay. And it looks impressive, and it also builds credibility. Now, again, video. It's because people can see that. You can't really fake video in this sense, it's not, we're not trying to anyway, but you couldn't anyway. And it shows that she really is doing what she's saying. And it means that more and more she gets people seeing her stuff, people watch her videos, and then she gets all this credibility. Now, then they go to her website, they sign up for her newsletters and so on and so on. And again, from a money-making point of view, you can then start selling things to them in different coupon ways, or getting them to sign up to things like cashback type sites where you end up getting a sign up bonus, things like that. I'm just looking on the chat as well, like Eric saying your kids do extreme couponing. So, my kid's doctor, does that say, does extreme couponing? Great. It's great. If you can do it right, it's absolutely phenomenal. But she also gets to know all the top players. Now, because she's been doing these videos and getting that celebrity effect out there, she's had people actually contact her directly that own massive sites that you wouldn't even think that they were going to contact anybody. And the funny thing is that once you get to know them, you realise they're just another mum or dad sat in their kitchen doing the thing as well. But again, the celebrity perception was that they were huge because they've got this site and people go to it and they ask their advice, and you wait on their every word. And when they say, hey, there's this new offer in such and such a place, you jump on them because you know that they are the top players in that niche. But now that we've got to know them, we realise they're just people like us. Like I keep saying, they are just people like us. They just happen to have that perception. Very easy to get if you do it correctly. And the last one I'm going to use, because it's the alternative e-commerce. She's slightly more edgy on this one. She shows a huge amount of confidence when she's on video because you have to for that sort of thing. And we go to trade shows and get to know others. It's very much the same as hanging out with the extreme couponing, except this is actually physically hanging out with people. And with that particular one, she's trying to build an actual brand. So she's not a person on that one, she's a brand name. So it's, as you can see, there's three completely different things there, but she can be the person in every single market without conflicting with the other, and she can keep them fairly separate. But also, hopefully, you can see how easy it is to go to your market and actually change your style ever so slightly so that people see you as that go-to celebrity. Now, as I said, whatever your market is, just think of your ideal customer and model it. That's all you need to do for this. Find out where they hang out and hang out there too. So in the case of the couponing, it's usually forums. In the case of the actual, the alternative e-commerce stuff, then it's actual trade shows. And then get yourself seen. That's all it's about. Celebrity effect is all about getting yourself seen in lots of different ways. I'm going to cover a lot more ways towards the end of this presentation, so don't worry. It's not just about that. Now, the next subject was, actually, I'll stop for 2 seconds. Has anyone got any questions about that particular part? If not, just say all good in the chat room and I will move on straight away to this one. But I'll take a quick drink, and then if anyone's got any questions, I can answer them now if you want. Okay, cool. Looks like I did my job, so got many all good, so great. Okay, so the next one was, what if I'm not the usual celebrity type? Now, it's a common concern. I get this quite a lot where people say, hey, I'm not a rock star. I'm not super confident, whatever. They just don't feel they're the usual celebrity type. Now, personally, I don't think there is a usual celebrity type, but I get the question, so I thought I'd address it. So I'm going to take a scenario and use it as an example. And the one I got on the Facebook group was an older lady. How do you approach it when you are this older person and you want to become this celebrity? Now, that's you, Donna. Donna's on the call, so that's cool. That's great. So this is what I'm going to cover now. Okay, so the example we're going to use is an older person rather than an older lady. I think it's fair to say it's probably a concern of anyone that's sort of on there doing this and they're of the older persuasion. So that's not old, Donna. That's really young. So that's silly. But anyway, moving on. This is what are the problems here. I'm saying, who are you trying to sell to? And all you need to think about here is, if you are trying to sell to someone that is really not going to come up to an older person and think of buying from you, then maybe you're in the wrong market anyway. Now, this isn't a negative. I'm not a negative person in the slightest. But what I'm saying is, if you're really, let's say you're trying to sell, I don't know. I'm trying to say it in a way that's like, it's completely ridiculous. If you know what I mean, if you're trying to sell, I don't know, skateboards, then there's a very good chance that you aren't going to be able to do that to the younger generation that are selling it. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't, because you could. I think you can flip anything around to a positive. But you understand what I'm saying is, if you're in a market that is really, really not suited to the older generation, then there's probably a chance that you shouldn't be in that market. It's likewise what you're trying to sell. Yeah, exactly, unless you're a fantastic older skateboarder. Okay, that's brilliant, because I didn't know what market you're in. So you're selling internet marketing to businesses, okay? So that's perfect. I'll come on to something in a minute on the other slide. But that's great to know what you're actually doing. So what you're trying to sell is obviously an issue as well if you're an older sort of generation and you want to try and sell to a younger generation. But it's very unlikely that's going to be the case. I don't know of many people that say, hey, I'm going to try and sell to a completely different market or different person to what I actually am. In a way, you know, I can't think of anyone that really would do that. So it's not really an issue. And as I mentioned, there are many, many different types of celebrity. Now, I mentioned ideal customers, and you can use exactly the same thing. Go through that sort of things and say, hey, what's my ideal customer? And then you can sort of say, well, I can look at this part and I can go towards them and I can actually play on the bits that I know I would want to be played on. So you can actually build up your persona based on what you would be more susceptible to with someone coming towards you. Now, I put problem. What problem? Now, I think it's worth noting a few people that did things that, obviously I didn't know what you were in, what profession you were in, what you're trying to sell. But the fact of the matter is that people can be late bloomers. KFC and McDonald's are a great example. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he came up with the idea, and Ray Kroc, who did McDonald's, was 52. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with the older generation coming in and doing whatever they can. Now, with painting, I didn't know this one. I actually looked this one up, but apparently Anna, who was called Grandma Moses, was 76 when she took up painting. My dad is actually an artist, so I looked at painting to see if anyone had done it old. And she won international fame from the age of 76 on, so you don't have to be young to start this thing. Now, bear in mind, I wrote these not knowing what you were involved in, but they still apply. People do this all the time. Excuse me. People do this all the time. Now, I'm going to look at the positives. And the positives to me, from your point of view, is that age is seen as knowledge. Okay? And it really is knowledge. Now, this is a bit weird for me because obviously I'm an online marketer, so I should embrace everything online, but I actually think it's a bit of a shame that Google answers everyone's questions now. I used to like the fact that you could go to the older generation and ask them for advice and get that advice back, and you get passed down from generation to generation. Now, it doesn't happen as much now because people just nip onto YouTube or nip onto Google and they find it out for themselves, which is a shame, but age is still seen as knowledge. So you can use that to your advantage. The fact that you are older means you are wiser. It is simple as that. And if you're involved in a market, then there's a very good chance others your age are too. Okay? So I know now that you're in the internet marketing to businesses. Okay? Now, the fact that you're involved in that means that there's going to be other people of your age range that are also involved in that. So my advice to you is to target that particular age range. Don't worry about the fact that you're competing against lots of younger people, because those younger people are going to have a younger person mindset. So they're going to be doing things that they know relates to them. I mean, it's impossible, it's kind of impossible unless you're a very good marketer to go outside of what you know works for you. So what you've got to do is embrace the fact you're of an older generation and realise that there's going to be many, many, many other people of your same generation trying to get involved with internet marketing. So now what you've done is you've actually eradicated all of that younger generation, and you're going to just be competing with your same age range, which means that you know what you had problems with, you know what you had issues and what you needed to know first, and you need to know that your knowledge will be taken on board by the older generation. I mean, if a young whippersnapper startup kid came up to you and started trying to tell you about internet marketing when you know it, then you'd probably be sort of like, I don't actually want to listen to you because I want to listen to someone my own age. And there's going to be people that think exactly the same way. So that is my advice to you, especially now I know the internet marketing, and it would have been anyway, as you can see, before I even knew what you're into. You just relate to the same people in your marketplace. Okay, so that's the way to do it. And again, hang out where your audience is. Now, you've just mentioned that. Oh, it's actually Eric. Sorry, I'm losing track of who's here, but it's saying advantage since most business owners are older. And that's true. So, I mean, you're actually going to the top of the food chain almost. So you're going to the people that are going to have the decision making, they're going to have the money to do it. I know internet marketing is seen as a kind of a freedom, leave your job type thing. But believe me, I get lots of people coming to me that are literally their retirement age, things like that, and they want to just do another income on top of, maybe they got a state pension or something like that, and they want something else. So, I mean, you've even got that demographic as well, which I couldn't relate to. I don't know what it's like to be retired in that sense, so I couldn't relate to them. You can. So the way to do it is to focus on that. And this is the same for anyone, by the way, with celebrity, whatever it is, whatever you want to be the celebrity in, just think, hey, if I'm here doing this, there must be others doing the same, and just relate. Write it as if write the thing you would have liked to have seen. And that way you can sell that to those people, or you can give that to those people to get them involved. And you'll find the ripple effect after that will involve the younger generations in that anyway. It's just you will get known as this person in that field in that particular point. So hopefully that helped you out on that one. And I've got one of my favourite quotes, which does apply to this and applies to all that sort of thing, which is, it's never too late to be what you might have been. So it doesn't matter how old you are or where you are or whether you're restarting a business. You might be younger even, but you're restarting. Maybe you did something all your life and you want to do something completely different. Doesn't matter. You just start now, and that will be when this part of your legacy starts from. Okay, now I've put George Eliot maybe because I did actually look to make sure I was addressing it from the right place, and apparently it's never been actually credited to her, as it's a male pen name, but it's never been credited to her properly, so I put maybe, but it's still true. Okay, so what I would suggest to you is just go out there and just play to yourself, and you'll find there's lots of people that will relate to you. Okay, right, any questions for that one before I carry on? You can throw in some all goods if you want me to move on again, that'd be good. Excuse me. Okay, cool. I've got some more goods going in. So if you do think of anything, obviously we'll have a Q&A at the end. So you can always throw it in there if you want to. Okay, making others a celebrity. Now, I deliberately made it on the green screen course. It doesn't have to be you on camera. It can be someone else as well. Now, this one isn't that hard to answer because I believe that you can use a lot of the same things, but I will go through it anyway because you're going to use this as a service. Now, for anyone that hadn't thought about this kind of angle of it, basically some people are learning all this and then they're going forward and they're actually giving it to local businesses. So they're making the studio or they're making something they can take with them. They've got the camera. I've actually got some great videos up in the Facebook group already, which of people going out and doing different services and recording different sort of publicity videos, things like that. So you would basically go out with your camera and your tripod and your lapel mic and all the good stuff that you bought, and your green screen. If you wanted to do green screen, doesn't always have to be green screen. Obviously, the celebrity effect is about making celebrities out of people, green screen or not. And then you can actually sell this as a service for quite a lot, to be honest. I mean, it's up to you to gauge what you think your marketplace will pay you, but you can get hundreds or thousands of dollars at a time for this sort of thing because people either don't have the time or don't have the knowledge or don't have the equipment to do this themselves. So they just want someone to come in and do it for them. Now, the same rules apply as far as the celebrity effect part. Now, going through the main course, I told you lots of things on how to act on camera, how to use things, how to look at the lens talk to it as a friend, how to use your hands to emote things. Now, you can pass all these things on to people, but mostly the one thing that I don't cover, because it's yourself, obviously, is you should make anyone you're filming feel at ease. Don't make them feel awkward, because that's the thing that's going to make them look not like the go-to person. If they're nervous, if they're not sure what they're doing, if you make it so it's a little bit awkward for them and they feel like they're going to get it wrong, then it's not going to work. So the whole point with when you go out and do things, I've done stuff for local businesses and the whole point is that you say to them, hey, there is no wrong, there is no right on this. You've just got to relax a bit and give them some info from the main course so that you can say, hey, what you want to do is just talk to me. I'm behind the camera anyway, so you can just talk to me. Just imagine you're talking to me. Here's where you look. Don't worry about, don't shuffle your hands, but use it if you talk with your hands a lot like I do. I'm doing it right now, actually, in front of my screen all on my own. But if you do that, then don't feel bad about doing that. If you do it too much, I'll let you know, but don't worry, nothing's wrong here. Just do what feels natural to you. It will put them at ease. When they've done that, skipping forward a bit too much there, but when they've done that, you'll find that they come across a lot better, and it's the same sort of ideal with the celebrity effect. Now, the added twist to the fact that you're using it as a service and you're telling them all this stuff is that you can actually, I thought I'd mention, it's a great chance to sell additional services. Now, whenever I've gone in to do anything like this, I've always found that the fact that they need this video means if that's the first one they're doing, or maybe the first bits they're doing, then there's a very good chance that they need other stuff as well. So a few of the ideas I thought I'd throw out here while we're here is reputation management. That's where you make sure that they're being talked about nice on screen, online, sorry. Which is, I'll come into some things later on which will show you how you can actually do reputation management very, very easily. Web design, obviously if they've got new videos, they're going to want someone who puts it on their website. Very good chance you can either do that because you know that sort of thing, or you know someone who can, and you can just team up with them for commission basis. Branding, again, you're making a new video for them, so at the same time you can say, hey, you're obviously going ahead with this, you want new videos, new perception of your celebrity status, I can help you with that. I can get some branding out there, and again, I'll cover some things in a minute to show you how you can do that. And you can help with this, something as simple as a YouTube channel. If you're making a video, it's going to be put somewhere. It's very likely you know how to set up YouTube channels. You'd be surprised how many local businesses have no reason to even care how to do that, but will pay you money in order to do it. And this is where your editing skills come into play, skipping back to the celebrity side of this. So what you've done is you put them at ease. You've shown them some of the techniques I showed you, but you've put it across to them and said, hey, try using this, try doing this. Make sure that, take a nice deep breath between takes, things like that. And then your editing skills come into play, and that's where you will show them off to their best perception. Because when you've learnt your editing and you can go in there, then you can even turn some of the poorest footage into good-looking cutscenes and nice flashy bits. And that's where you come into play, and that's why they're paying you for your skills at the end of the day. So honing up your editing skills definitely helps when it comes to making others look like a celebrity. And like I say, I will cover some other points which aren't just video, which is something you can throw in with this to make your clients look like celebrities, as I mentioned just there. See, I guessed myself. Okay, right, we're going to move on to pledge campaigns now. So any questions about making other people look like celebrities, I can cover now, or I can cover later, or just throw another all good in the chat box. Quite enjoying all the all goods that are going up. Cool, cool, cool. Everyone enjoying it so far? All right? Good-o, good-o, good-o. Right, okay. Pledge campaigns. Now, as I said, pledge campaigns. What is a pledge campaign? I mentioned it at the beginning. It's basically crowdfunding. And if you haven't heard of crowdfunding before, what that means is where you get a group of people to give some sort of donation or some sort of pre-order, something like that. And basically they put money into a pot, and the money in the pot accumulates, and then that becomes enough to actually do whatever it was funding. Okay, so when it comes to music, for example, there's a thing called Pledge Music is one of them. And what you do is you say, hey, we're bringing out a new album. It's actually what we did for our last album. We said, hey, we're bringing out a new greatest hits album, and we'd like the fans to be involved. So if you pledge, then you get the pre-order, but you also get some other bits and pieces. Now, I was asked, in the sense of like celebrity and video in general, how should you go about doing this and making a good pledge campaign video? Now, this kind of is the celebrity effect. It's also kind of technical, I suppose, but it's enough. I figured it's more celebrity than anything else. It's trying to get your point across by being someone that people listen to. So this is why I'm including it in this particular webinar. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do is actually go through. I've got some examples coming up in a minute, but here's some of the different places you can actually find for pledging. There's one called Pledge Music, which I've already mentioned. There's also one called Indiegogo, which is more for inventions, because it doesn't have to be just music, it can be anything. So Indiegogo does people that want to put a concept through and get it off the ground. I don't know, there's people making, you know, new age helmets for motorbikes, or some sort of clever contraption for like camping, or whatever it is. It's basically inventors that want to raise the money in order to go into production for something. Kickstarter is another one, does the same thing. Now, the number one thing when it comes to these sort of campaigns, film funding as well. Yeah, you can get basically anything that you need to raise some sort of budget for, but you don't have the budget up front. You can basically run one of these. I mean, like I say, I'll grab an example. Actually, bear with me 2 seconds. I will do it right now. So I've got two screens going on, so I'm just nipping up to my other screen quickly. I'll show you Pledge Music, just so you can see. If you've never seen one of these before, then you can see the sort of thing I mean. It always helps to have something in front of you. Okay, that there is Pledge Music. Now what this is basically bands can come on here. You can see that, like Erasure have got a new album, so if you click on Erasure, I'm assuming you can still see my screen, so should be good. But here you go, you can basically pre-order it, and then signed merch and all sorts of stuff like that. And what they do is they put different scales of pledge. So depending on what you want, you can spend as much or as little as you want and get extras. Okay, that's Pledge Music. It's very much based on music, but they also do it where you can actually get people to pledge for your tour. You know, so they say, hey, we're going on tour, but we can't afford the bus. So people will do things like that. So it doesn't have to be just music, but you get the concept. The other main one is Kickstarter, which is this one just here. Now, this one here, it's got all sorts of stuff. So you've got games being done, you've got albums, you've got a play that they want to do. And so basically what you do is you set like a target, and then you set all your different things that you want to sell to get to that target, and then it basically gets funded. Now, a lot of these, what they do is, let me just get back to the PowerPoint. Now, a lot of these, what they do is they will do it so that, sorry, bear with me 2 seconds. There we go. They will do it so that they set the limit, and then if you don't hit that limit, the project doesn't actually come to fruition. So you do have to be a little bit careful with these things, but they are very, very good. Like I said, we did our last album on it. We're actually doing our next album, which is coming out at the end of this year, on there as well. Christopher, you say holidays. Do you mean like holidays just for yourself, or do you mean you want to start a holiday company? I'm not sure people will pay for your own holiday, if that's what you meant. Well, that would be nice. Would be nice. I want to go to... I would like to go to America for 4 weeks. Please fund me. I don't think that would work. But you get the idea behind it. And the idea is, anyway, going back to what you should do for this, and as far as the celebrity effect side of things for this, is you need to grab them from the very start. And what I mean by this is you need to get their interest, because there's a lot of people on there doing a lot of different things. Okay, so that's my number one tip with that, is grab them from the start. Now I'm going to show you a real brief snippet of a video that we did for our particular pledge, which is just here. I'll press play on this. I'm not sure if this is you're gonna hear this or not, but you'll get the idea. Okay, you get the idea. I'll throw that out the way. Let's get all these out of the way. There we go. And grab my chat box back up. Okay, that basically was just us lot in the studio doing some stuff that they maybe wouldn't see before, which brings me on to my next point. Okay, yeah, no, that's probably because I was. Is the sound okay again for everyone? Because it might have been because I was playing that video. Can you just let me know if the sound is okay? Okay. It looks like most people are pretty cool. Sorry about that. I won't play another video because it sounds like it sent the audio loopy. Okay, cool. Basically, what you need to do is you need to let people into your world a little. The whole point of raising some sort of pledge thing is people are giving you money for something that doesn't even exist yet. So the way to actually get people through properly is to let them into that little bit of backstage area that you would normally not have anyone involved with, and you offer them something that no one else can. Now, from a celebrity effect point of view, this is basically like if your favorite artist or something took you backstage and said, hey, this is what my dressing room looks like, hey, this is what I do before a show, or come and listen to my sound check, that sort of thing. People would pay money or at least be very appreciative of being there and doing that thing. It's something no one else can offer. Now, it's the same with anything. When I released this product, I offered people that promoted it things like free, VIP tickets to my shows, or I'll write a song for them, things like this. So it's just a way of letting people into a little world that no one else can offer, and it piques that interest. That's definitely a way to get people involved. It makes them feel special. It's a backstage pass. It's exclusivity. Now, as far as the actual video goes, it's exactly the same sort of rules. Now, I won't play that video because obviously it made the sound go a bit choppy, but the point is that you talk to them like a friend, you include them like they're in that room together. Whatever it is you're doing, whether it's some sort of invention or some sort of music, anything like that, you should treat them like they're part of that gang. They're there with you. And that way people will get involved more. They'll feel like you care about them. They'll know that you're actually talking to them, even though you obviously can't. If you talk as if you're talking to them, then they're going to know that you care, and they're going to want to get involved. They get emotionally involved then. It's the same. It's a celebrity thing again. They get to know you, and therefore they want to be part of what you're doing. Also, when it comes to the things like asking for pledges, or maybe you're doing a little sales kind of, hey, come into I want you involved in this funnel to do with my business. Never do them too long. Our attention span isn't that great. That's why even this webinar here, I've chopped it up into different segments of ideas, because if I was just to talk for 45 minutes about one of them, then people would get bored. They would drop off. They wouldn't want to be involved, because our attention span at the end of the day, we're trained now to not, we watch like maybe 8 minutes of telly in a row, and then it's 3 minutes of adverts, and then even less in some cases. So not too long, and lots of calls to action when it comes to asking people. So we had a banner rolling across the bottom of ours for the whole time. And it meant that no matter where they were or where they got disinterested, they could see that we were actually, this is what we were doing, this was why we were doing it. So always have lots of calls to actions when it comes to things where you're asking for things like Kickstarter and stuff. And I'm sure that applies to a few people, because like I say, I've had maybe three or four different people come up to me recently. In fact, I'm doing a crowd funding campaign for like a friend's business, where they want to actually, they've got the rights to the Lambretta moped, anyone that's into that sort of thing. They've got the rights for like the design, and they've kind of made the insides up to date. So it's all nice and safe and safety conscious, but it still looks very iconic. And basically I'm helping them with their crowdfunding campaign. So I'm going to use the techniques I use and the celebrity effect stuff that I know in order to do all that sort of thing. Okay, right. I'm just looking up the questions there. The Nude Audio Super M on Kickstarter was a great video campaign. I have to check that out, Rod, because I haven't actually seen that. So I will check that out. Thank you for that. And what do you estimate number of spoken words per minute of video? Now, if you're talking about me, then probably several hundred million. I tend to get a bit excited about what I do. But honestly, I think it's just a natural speaking pace. I really don't know what it would be. I've never really sat down to think about it in that sense. If you're going, one thing I was told when I was doing like my videos for my course and stuff was obviously I'm going international, so I did have to slow myself down a little bit just so that people could actually understand accents and stuff. So I suppose if you're doing that, maybe slow it down a bit. Other than that, I don't really worry about it too much, to be honest. That's from Anthony, by the way. Sorry. Right, so anyone got any questions other than those couple for that particular bit? Anyone doing that sort of thing, pledge-wise or crowdfunding? Or, I mean, it's a great way to get anything started up, to be honest. It's well worth looking into if you've ever thought, oh, I'd like to do that, but I don't have the money. Lots of people doing that sort of thing now. So if we're all good, then type in AG or something if you're fed up of typing all good. I don't mind abbreviations. I'll take a swig of coffee. ag, ag, ag. It actually sounds like a pirate on my chat screen now. It says ag, 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 ag. Right, sorry, I digress. It's getting late. Right, other methods to create celebrity. Now, people were saying that obviously video is great and it's my number one go-to. But I do realise that it's not the be-all and end-all of everything. And when it comes to celebrity effect, there is more than just video. Okay, so I'm going to cover some things now because people wanted to know the next steps. My course is about video. That doesn't mean it has to finish there. And the things that you've learned can cross over to this anyway. I did mention some things on the course, like maybe getting merchandise and things like this, but these are some more that that I didn't really cover. So it isn't the be-all and end-all of celebrity status. In fact, far from it. So let's look into some. I'm good at reading stuff off there. So, right, first one is start a blog. Now, this might seem obvious, but some people miss this out, and it's crazy that they do. Now, there's no excuses. I don't care what your skill level is. YouTube is full of every single step of every single way. And now that WordPress is out there, it is so easy to start a site. It's unbelievable. And if you really don't want to do it, then you can go to somewhere like Fiverr.com and pay someone $5 to actually set it all up for you. So there really is no reason to not have some sort of blog. Eric's just said, "Pay me, I will build your blog." Maybe we can get some sort of trade swap thing going on in the VIP area, because I swear there's probably going to be people that are great at audio but bad at that, So you never know. Maybe we ought to set something up like that. Oh, and just to skip back, sorry to digress slightly, but Stuart asked how I like AnyMeeting. I would recommend this. Right now, I'm loving it. It's the first time I've used it properly for a live thing. I've done lots of tests on it, but I'm actually really liking it so far. So far, so good. But you let me know, obviously. I can't hear what you're hearing. So yeah, going back to starting a blog. YouTube for tutorials. Yes, you could pay someone to do it on somewhere like Fiverr or somewhere else. You could maybe do some sort of skill swap, anything like that. The thing is as well, now with a blog, what I would say, the thing you do want to either pay out for or get someone to do for you, obviously in the comfort of your own home with a smartphone, or if you've probably got quite a nice camera to do all your videos anyway. So I would say the next thing you need to do when you start a blog is get professional photos. Now the reason you do this is, again, celebrity effect. The perception is that if you've got photos of yourself looking nice and suave, depending on what your avatar, your persona is meant to be. Obviously, if you're meant to be like the mumsy type or something, you don't want to be dressed in a power suit. But if you're a business person, then obviously you do, and so on and so on. Whatever it is, get professional photos done with you in that persona. The reason being that you want your face to be pretty much everywhere as often as you possibly can. Now, I'll show you one of my examples of my site, which you may have been to, you may not. But Pocket Ace Promotion is like my business, if you like, my business site. And everywhere I can, I throw my ugly mug, as you can see. So wherever I can, I always do that. Let me just get rid of that again. And the idea is that the more you get seen and the more that people see you out and about, they're going to recognize your face. They're going to know who you are. They're going to get to know you. The celebrity effect of it means that people feel like they're your friend already, which is great. And I mean, as long as you're a nice person, as long as you're genuinely going out there helping people, combined with the fact they know your face. Obviously, if they know your face and you're a complete whatever, then that's going to be a negative effect. But it means that people know you. So you put your professional photos all over your site and make sure that that's what they see. So my start a blog and get professional photos all over it. Perception, perception, perception. There are many, many sites out there. When I mentioned the couponing persona with my wife, we thought these people were huge, oh my God type, people that you could never speak to in a million years. When we got to know them, they are just mums and dads sat in their kitchen. But the fact is, perception, perception, perception. All these people, they're celebrities in their own markets, but they're just people. They're just people. I can't say that enough. They are just like you and I. They are just doing something and getting seen for it, and therefore becoming the authority in that market. Now, with a blog, and the reason to have it is you want to send people here all the time. Every chance you get, send them to your blog. The reason is you control it. It's very good, and I'll mention some other things in a minute to go on all the other different obvious ones like Facebook and places like that, but you don't control them. Now you can make them look kind of your thing, you can make them look kind of how you want them to, but at the end of the day, you don't control it. If they decided tomorrow, if Facebook decided tomorrow that you're no longer allowed personal photos on there, then that's up to them. They can do what they like. At the end of the day, you're using their property. So this is why you should have a blog, and you should send people back to it as soon as you can. Now, I'm quite guilty of neglecting my blog at times because I get wrapped up in everything else I'm doing. But what I try and do is put up a new video tutorial or something like that, at least once every couple of weeks, or a new concept, or just so people keep coming back. And then I send out a little email blast from the emails that I've collected. That's the other thing with a blog. You can collect people's emails, get hold of them in that sense. So whatever market you're in, start a blog, because they will look for you and they will find your blog and go, hey, there's that guy, that girl that I remember from blah, blah, blah. And there's their blog. And look, that's them being them again, because you've got your professional photos all over it. And especially from something like, if you're doing a service, like say you're a search engine optimizer type guy or a website design guy, if you've got your picture on there looking all kind of, hey, I'm obviously charging X amount per hour, even if you're not, people's perception will be, wow, I need to get this guy because he looks good, he looks like he knows what he's doing. So that's why you need to do that. Now another one is, I've named this as featured in. So that's blogs. You should always have a blog. And there's no excuses in my mind, because, it's so easy to get them set up now. As featured in. Now this is, what I mean by this is when you get named on some sort of site and you can use their logos. Now, I actually could do this. I haven't done, but I could do things like as featured on BBC Radio, Kerrang TV, things like that, and I could have all the logos across, and I expect I will do. It's just not something I've really played on that much up till now. Now that I'm teaching this sort of thing, I'm getting asked to do sort of talks and things like that. I will start doing that because it shows my credibility, it shows I'm the real deal, and that's where I've come from. Now, not everyone will have done those things, I understand that, but the thing is, things like guest posts do count. Now, if you don't know what a guest post is, then that means basically you write something for some other website or magazine or something like that, and you get published or printed or put up on their blog, and then you can actually say as featured in. So if you were to do something for an online magazine, you could, let's say, as featured in, as long as you do the guest post. Now, guest posts used to be used as a way to get links back to your website, and they still are in a way, but they're just not as effective, but they're still very effective to get this sort of thing. And a very good point by Anthony as well is get permission from the suppliers that you're going to say. Don't just say you have, and especially don't say it if all you've done is pop something down into a comment section or something. That doesn't count. Excuse me. Just because you've gone on to CNN and you commented on a news story and said, yes, I think that too, doesn't mean that you can say that you were featured on there even though you were. Now, there is a way to do this in a kind of, it's not for everyone, it's not for everyone, and it's not, this isn't being dodgy in any way, shape or form, but at the same time, it's not quite being featured in that sense, and that's paid services. Now, I will show you a couple of examples just so you can see. There's this one up here. This one is actually a search engine. What I'll do is I'll put together some sort of document with all this in for all of you anyway, so don't worry too much. If you've wrote it down, that's great, but these sort of things I'll actually throw through. Now, what you can actually do with this is you can actually find journals to get yourself featured in. So what you can actually do is you can choose a speciality, like on here with all the different things. These are mainly surgical ones on this particular one, but there are things like this for most niches. And then you can actually do it by journal, you can do it by all this sort of thing. You can actually find these healthcare journals to get featured in. Now, like I say, you can do this for all sorts of different niches. It doesn't have to be just be healthcare, but they do exist, and you can basically find places that will allow you to go ahead and publish in. And once you're published, you can say as featured in. Okay. Same goes for this one here, which is this here. Now, this is the one that not for everyone, because they do media citations, and they actually do get them on these places. So I mean, they're big places: NBC, Fox, ABC, and CBS News. They do get them on there, but in my mind, I'm not quite right. I don't think I would do this. I'm mentioning it out of completeness. I don't think I would, because I don't feel like you've genuinely been featured on these places. It does mean you could save as seen on, But to me, this is a little bit like the comments, because they're just citations that are there. You can see them, you can physically go and get them, and you can link to them and all sorts of stuff. But it's not like you've done something that ABC or Fox has picked up and put on their website. So to me, it's not quite right. But that's just my ethics in that particular one. Okay, but there are ways to do it, is all I'm showing you. And so that way you can put all the logos up. So if you have done anything like that, then by all means put those logos up, use them to their fullest, because it shows you that you're the real deal. If even if you've done things locally and you've been in a local paper or a local newsletter even, it's very easy to get into things like that as well, by the way. If you've got a particular niche that you're in, I don't know, like for example, you deal with a lot of, to pick someone on the top of my head, you deal with a lot of dog grooming places, because that's just what you do. Oh, there's my reminder. So I've got to do the bins in a minute. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional. If you're involved with those sort of things, then you can by all means try and get into those publications, because they'll be a lot easier to get into. Like Dog Grooming Monthly, if that's your niche, then by all means put some sort of little piece in there, and then you can say as featured in, and if it's the go-to thing for your local area, people are going to go, oh, they've been included in there, they must be good. Okay, right, so becoming an author is the next one. To become an author sounds very daunting, I know it does, scary, but it really isn't, and I'm sure you know about this already, but again, out of completeness, I want to cover this, and it's Kindle. Kindle is very easy for everyone. Now, I'm not going to go into it hugely on here, it's just for the concept of it more than anything, is if you know something about your particular market, your particular niche, then a great way to become seen as a celebrity is to go ahead and make a book about it. Okay, now, you can actually publish yourself. It's very easy, and I'll just show you that really quickly. Here we go, got this one here, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. You can actually go on here, you can publish your own books in the Kindle store. And there's all sorts of explanation on here. If you go to this, it's kdp.amazon.com/help if you want to read about that. It's a lot easier than you would think, and you can get out there and you can actually get your book on Amazon on the Kindle. Obviously, if you do that and then people find your stuff, they're going to see you as an absolute celebrity in your niche, because most people won't go this extra step. Okay. The other thing is get help. There's actually friends of mine called Kevin Long and Andy Harris, and they've got a thing called The Power of Authority. If you go to thepowerofauthority.com, it's actually like an ebook about the fact that this isn't an affiliate link or anything. I'm just helping them out because they're mates of mine. And this will actually give you all the different system to actually go through and turn your ideas and that into a book and get it published on Kindle. So I mean, if you wanted to go and have a look at that in your own time, that's fine. That's thepowerofauthority.com. Get rid of that one. There we go. So that's another thing you can do, so you can get some help on it. And that particular thing, I mean, it's less than $10 and it gives you lots and lots of tips on how to do it. Great way to do it. Start an online show. Now, there's nothing more celebrity than being on TV. This isn't quite this, but it's as close as you can get for hardly any hassle whatsoever. So really, really easy to do now. Obviously, back in the day it wasn't, but now with everything online like it is, you can do podcasts. If you don't want to actually get your face on there and stuff, then lots of people do lots of different podcasts. Very easy to do. You can go along, you can put them on iTunes, things like that. I know a lot of people, especially marketers, that do weekly podcasts that get put up there, and then it just builds. It's like a snowball effect as you tell more and more people. And it also means that when people are going out finding you and you've got a podcast based on your particular market, they're going to go, hey, this person knows their stuff. They're a celebrity in this market. Google Hangouts, I'm sure everyone knows about Google Hangouts. Basically, you can go on there, you can record your YouTube video, and you can have people actually watching it. It also, the good thing about that is it's already on YouTube. You can actually then send it out to other people. It's a thing called Ustream TV, Ustream.tv. If no one's heard of that, it's basically same sort of thing, except you can broadcast live and you have your own stream, so people can actually come back to it again later. So you can actually name it after your market, things like that. So that's Ustream.tv. Very good, very easy to use again. And then YouTube is obviously, it's like Google Hangouts, but you could just have a channel with all your different things on. Loads of people have become celebrities. I'm doing air quotes, I know you can't see that, but they've become celebrities in their market through the fact that they've done stuff with YouTube. So that's starting an online show of some sort. When people find that, again, I'll throw out a percentage that I'm going to make up at the top of my head, but let's say 90% of people won't go that extra step. They want to be a celebrity, they want to be the go-to in that market, but they just can't be bothered to do that extra step. Now, if you do that, and it really is as easy, especially podcasts, you could literally sit there on your own, record a podcast and put it up. And you've now got this, you've basically got a show that people can go to. You do it regular enough and people will start to find it. You throw it out to different places. And it's just the fact that when someone asks you, what do you do? And you say, hey, I'm the person that's involved with dentists. And they say, oh, right, what do you know? And you say, oh, you can check out my Kindle book on such and such. And you can check out my podcast that I do monthly on such and such. You can see how the perception, the celebrity perception, even though it's probably just you sat there in your office or in your bedroom doing this, the perception is huge for this. Okay? Right, let's get physical. It's not what it sounds like. It's again, it's going one step beyond what most people will bother to do. And that's actually making something that you can physically give to people. Now, the first thing that popped into my head when I thought this, and this isn't just about making physical things, but it's things like DVD training. Now you can, or maybe even a physical book. You can make your Kindle into an actual bound book to give out to people. Now with the DVD train, I'd put this down here just out so you could see what's what. But this here, you can actually do on-demand packaging. So don't think you have to suddenly have this warehouse full of stuff. You can actually do it much like you would with a digital product almost. But what you would do is you would actually say, hey, I'm selling a physical product. And if I go to one of these here, you say, I'm selling an actual physical product. You give them the different rights and the book stuff and all this sort of thing. And basically, when you sell one, just wait for that because it might be making the audio choppy while it's loading up. When you sell one, you basically send off to them and they will do it for you. Now, if you wanted to check that out, it's just disc.com. That's DISK.com. And they will actually do it on demand. So you don't have to have a warehouse full of stuff. So that's another thing that's very worthwhile. Something that other people aren't going to do. When it's say physical as well, local workshops. Now this can either be you going along to them and making yourself known, or you can actually run them yourselves. Now don't be alarmed by this, because the fact is that I'm pretty sure that the majority of people on this call right now know more than most people in their market. The fact that you've done what you've done, you bought the course, you know about this stuff, you're here on this call, there's a very good chance that you've got knowledge that you might think is just, oh, that's just general stuff that everyone knows. But when you actually start sharing it with other people, you'll find that most people don't see it like that. It's very, very easy to undervalue yourself and your knowledge. I do it all the time as well. It's like, it's not until people actually pull you to one side and say, hey, you do know that you know some stuff, don't you? It's like, I'm telling you all the stuff I know here. To me, this is what's going around my head all the time anyway. But hopefully to you, that it's fresh and it's new. And the thing with local workshops is you can go and you can share your knowledge with other people. And again, get known as that go-to person. Same with local talks. It's the same sort of thing. It's just not so much sort of telling people what to do. It's just going along and maybe listening to talks and just hanging out. Business breakfasts and Chamber of Commerce. That's basically businesses meet up on like a monthly basis or a weekly basis, and you get to chat to people. You show your face, you're there, you get known as the go-to person for whatever it is you do. Socialize. This is all about joining in the conversation. And I've just put here, Facebook isn't just funny cat pictures. It's like you can actually make a good authority on Facebook now. You can start things like groups and join in groups and just get yourself known. Throw some decent stuff in there, some decent, good quality, and people will get to know your face. You can engage on Twitter. I'm not a huge fan of Twitter, I've got to be honest, but it's there and people do. If you start a conversation, you can kind of get a backwards and forwards thing going on. It's not my favourite thing, but it is still there, so it's worth noting. And then real life meetups and events. Now, the product you're actually on right now, the green screen effect product and the VIP training, actually came about because I went to a physical meetup for marketers. Now, it was back in March, and I was invited by anyone actually. I found out a friend was going and met up with them. Basically got to know people, and from there it's just kind of snowballed, and I've got a whole new community now. I'm actually been asked to speak at the next one in a couple of weeks' time about video and about green screen and about how to act on camera. And all that's come from me just turning up to one of these events. Now, as far as the person who organises that event, they now see me as a bit of a go-to guy when it comes to the video stuff, which is fantastic. And I've now been asked to speak. So, it's so easy to go to these things. Don't be nervous about these. It's all people exactly the same as you are going to these events, mostly for the first time, going along and trying all this sort of stuff out. And it's well worth going along to. So that's how this product sort of came about. So I thought I'd mention that. So real life meetups and events are fantastic, and you'll find that no matter what market you're in, there's bound to be something like it. If you go to meetup.com, places like that, there's also anywhere on Facebook will have it. If there's a group, there may well be a physical meetup to do with it as well. And if you get yourself along to local ones of those, or travel even if you have to, and get to know these people and get to know these people in your market and throw yourself out there, the celebrity effect of that is they will see that, they will then go and they will look for you online, they will find your blog, they'll find your podcast, they'll find that you're on Kindle, and all these things add up to people going, wow, that's the person I need to use for this particular market. And I think this is one of the last things going on now. We are reaching our kind of hour mark, so thank you very much for everyone that is obviously still here, and I hope you're still enjoying it. Branding and dominate. Now, what I mean by this is that you use multiple properties. We've mentioned a lot of different things, but this is things like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, SlideShare, all these different things, right? And be consistent. That's the main point on this. So it's branding, you dominate with your branding, and you be consistent. Now here's my example. Now Pocket Ace Promotion is my kind of go-to business, if you like. It's what everything comes underneath. Now if you type in Pocket Ace Promotion into Google, then what you'll see is like there's one person here that isn't me, but they were here before, so they lived here first, so I'll push them off the front page eventually. But if you look at this entire front page, I've got Pocket Ace Promotion, and I've got my Facebook, I've got my Twitter, I've got images which are all off of my sites because I always tag them with Pocket Ace Promotion. I've got my YouTube, I've got my LinkedIn, I've got a SlideShare, I've got a Pinterest, I've got a Google+. I've even got a Cheltenham SEO, which is another firm of mine that deals with the SEO stuff because it's been mentioned. I'm not sure what happens on the second page, I didn't actually look, so it's probably not me. No, we're back to like actual poker stuff, but up till about 3, 4, 5 months ago, something like that, that was completely dominated with poker terms. There was nothing on there about me whatsoever. But by having all these different places and by having the branding very much consistent throughout them, wherever anyone goes to find me, they will find that that is the Pocket Ace Promotion they thought they were going to find. And by doing that, I can dominate. And when people go online and they search for my business, they find me and they go, wow, he's there and 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 so on and so on. And it means that they see you as that go-to celebrity. So I've taught you lots of ways to do other celebrity stuff. I've also gone over the questions that came up in the groups and stuff like that. I hope I've covered an awful lot, but what next as far as the celebrity effect goes? I mean, you might have got all the way through that and gone, yeah, that's great, but I still don't get why I should be a celebrity. Hopefully not. But if you have, then I've shown you there's lots of ways to become the go-to person. But the reason to do it is because you can get work easier. The word of mouth being spread around because you are that celebrity you're seen in all these different places means that people will be talking about you. The more people that talk about you, the more people are going to say, hey, I need someone like that, and that's the person I remember. It means you can also charge more for your services. If you're stood next to someone that no one knows and you do exactly the same thing, I can guarantee you can charge more because they know you, they know of you, and they trust you to get that job done. They see you as that celebrity, so you can charge more for exactly the same services. It also means you can build up after this. You can coach others. If you've become this celebrity and there's someone who wants to do the same, there's no reason why you can't use all the knowledge you've learned and go forward and teach other people how to do it. So you become like a celebrity coach in yourself. Now, lots of people do this. They'll start off as a businessman or a businesswoman, and they'll build up to a point where actually they're kind of outside of their own business now, and they're teaching other people how they built that business up. So you can go on to coach other people. While you're doing all this, you're building your brand. People will bump into you, just like the Pocket Ace Promotion thing. They will bump into it all over the place when they search for you, and they'll see that you're the real deal. You're not just this one trick pony that's doing this one thing. So by building all these different properties, it means you build your brand up. And don't be scared to try any of this, because as I always see it, success is just me failing faster than anyone else. Okay, everyone fails. It's just the successful people don't give up. It's impossible to fail if you don't give up, if you think about it, because sooner or later something will work. And if it doesn't, you try again. So you've never actually failed because you're still trying. So success is just failing faster. I think the saying is failing faster forward, something like that. But basically it means just keep trying. But seriously, don't be scared to try any of this, because it's not like anyone's going to go, oh, you didn't do that completely right the first time you ever tried it. I've done things that have failed horrendously and come out the other end of it, and all it does is teaches you how not to do it next time. So thank you. That's the end of this presentation for this particular webinar based on the celebrity effect. It's now Q&A time if you've got any other questions that I haven't answered throughout. So I'm going to take a drink and you can pop them in the question box if you want to. If I've covered it all, then obviously great. If I haven't, please just throw it in there now while I take a quick drink. And I hope you enjoyed that webinar. It is the first of 4, so we will be covering other things as well. But that is celebrity effect. So I'm going to take a drink. Pop them in there if you want to. Right, what are we looking at questions? Not too many questions, is there? But for pledge videos, do you feel low budget works better than slick FX heavy vids? It depends what you're trying to sell, to be honest. I forgot that everyone can see you can all see all the chat, can't you? So be polite to each other. It's like yeah, I've lost it again now. I know it's about like doing low budget. Right, pledge videos. It really depends what you're doing. Now, when it comes to bands, I would say that lower budget, yeah, looks good because it's kind of backstage nitty gritty. This is what we do when you don't see us on stage in our sequin suit and with our hair spike type stuff. And I think that's good because people want to see that with a band, especially bigger bands. It's like you don't get to see that very much. If you're trying to sell something more invention-y, like you're trying to sell a high-tech helmet or something like these particular people I know are, or the Lambretta scooter that I mentioned, then it kind of needs to be slick because you're probably not only asking for more money, more donations, but also you need to show it off to its best ability. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It really depends what you're trying to do, in my opinion. But I think they work. If it's like let's say it's an independent film, then chances are it's going to look better if it's like almost like a small trailer of a film. Even though it's asking for pledges, people are going to go, yeah, I like the idea of that, especially if it's in the theme of the film that you're trying to raise the funds for. Does that answer your question? Cool. Yes, I will. I'll include a link to the pledge video and stuff. So there's our little meet and greet going on in the chat room. It's great. Yes, Stuart. I'm glad you like the length of the webinar. I'm the same. I don't, I couldn't sit through more than about an hour of me chatting either. I'll do exactly the same with the other things. I'll try and break them down into chunks and stuff. I do need your input again, as usual. So anyone on here right now, if you can go in the Facebook group or send me a support ticket with what you want on the next one. The next one's going to be all about the actual studio stuff and equipment. So if you've got any questions about how you want to do, how you can set up your lighting or how you can set up your home studio, things like that, then that would be great. But I'm thinking, yes, they will all be Mondays. I don't think there's any reason for me not to put them on Mondays. I'm trying to think, like obviously with the other stuff I do, playing live and stuff like that, very rarely do they happen on Mondays. The talk that I've got to go and do in a couple of weeks is on the weekend. So I'm thinking, yeah, I think why not? I think it's going to be an hour later than today and 3 Mondays in a row. That makes sense. If it's Monday at midnight, it's Tuesday. Yeah, you are right. Okay, it's on Tuesdays. I'll start it at 11:59. Okay, just so you know, it's Mondays. How's that? So I might not start talking until Tuesday, but at least I'll be true to my word. The replays are gonna be I'll put links to them in the Facebook group, but they'll probably be on the actual. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I'll put them in both places. Yeah, absolutely. I'll put links in the Facebook group, and then I will put links in the on the VIP page as well that you would have gone to in the first place, where you got all your sort of goodies and stuff from. So yeah, I will make sure, and I will send out an email as well. The Facebook page, if you've got access to the VIP members area, so if you go through like JVZoo is the only place I've sold it, so if you go through to JVZoo and then click on your VIP button, you'll go through to the VIP membership page, and then there's a link to the Facebook group there, rather than, because it's still numbers and squiggles for groups, so it's hard to tell you on here. So it's easier to do that way. Just request to join and I'll get you put in there. No problem at all. Thanks, Anthony. Glad you enjoyed it. Right, I think we're wrapping up then. It looks like any more questions just for the last couple of minutes, or are we done? Thanks. Sounds like everyone's quite happy. It's nice that, in a way, it's nice you can see all the chat because you can see that everyone liked it. Just don't put anything nasty. All right, I'm going to bed in a good mood. Thank you very much for joining. I really, really do appreciate it. Thanks for either skipping home from work, taking the day off. Actually, in one case, I know that, so I really, really appreciate that. Staying up in other cases, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for joining me. I will see you. I'll speak to you in the Facebook group anyway. And like I say, I will send out an email and stuff with replay, all that good stuff. But get in the Facebook group, let's busy it up a bit in there, ask some more questions based on this sort of thing. By all means, elaborate on this. What I'll do as well is I'll put the slides for this presentation in there so you can see what we covered without having to watch the whole hour and a bit long webinar at the same time. So replays are going to be posted in the Facebook group and on the VIP membership page. They'll probably be on YouTube, but obviously with restricted access to you guys. So, right, I think I'm done. So I will say ta-da. Thank you very much for joining me once again. I'm going to click stop on the record now, and then I will pop it up there once it's all done. All right, I'd expect the replay to be up there probably sometime tomorrow, all going well. All right, thanks very much, guys and girls, obviously. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Take care. See you next time.